Most predators hide in the shadows. This one hid in plain sight. For nearly 20 years, women trusted him with their lives because they were told to. He wore a uniform. He carried a weapon. And he promised safety. But behind closed doors, that promise became a threat. He didn't break into homes. He didn't chase victims down dark alleys. He invited them in, using authority as bait. Some froze in fear, staring at what they believed was a loaded gun. Others were silenced by words they would never forget. "I am the police. No one will believe you." 12 women eventually came forward. Investigators believe there were many more. This is not just a story about a monster. It's a story about power, trust, and how a system failed, again and again. Before we continue, please take a moment to tell us in the comments where you're watching from. You're part of this community, and we'd love to hear from you. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications, so you don't miss what's coming next. Marcus Hale was born in the winter of 1976 in a quiet military town in southern England. His childhood unfolded behind guarded gates and uniformed routines. His father was a career serviceman, rigid, disciplined, and emotionally distant. The family moved often, following postings that uprooted Marcus before he could form lasting bonds. At school, Marcus excelled. He was athletic, charismatic, confident. Teachers described him as capable and intelligent. Classmates remembered him as magnetic, the kind of boy others gravitated toward effortlessly. Girls noticed him early, and he seemed to enjoy the attention, cycling through relationships without emotional attachment. At home, however, stories diverged. Marcus would later claim he endured violence at the hands of his father and later a stepfather after his parents separated. His mother firmly denied these claims, insisting that Marcus had a normal upbringing and showed no signs of distress. But cracks began to show. A younger sibling would later describe Marcus as cruel, domineering, and physically aggressive. Small acts of violence that escalated with age, kicks, intimidation, humiliation. Behavior brushed off as boys being boys. By his late teens, Marcus became withdrawn, guarded. Something shifted. An allegation, vague, never publicly detailed, was reported within the family. Police were notified, but no charges followed. Whatever happened, Marcus changed. At 19, Marcus followed a familiar path. He enlisted. The military offered structure, hierarchy, and most importantly, authority. He thrived in training and developed a reputation for discipline and composure. Later, he transferred units and eventually left service under unclear circumstances. No official misconduct, no formal discharge, just a quiet exit. By the early 2000s, there were whispers, allegations of harassment, controlling behavior toward partners, and one report involving intimidation. Again, nothing stuck. Then came the decision that would alter everything. At 25, Marcus Hale applied to join the Metropolitan Police. Despite previous concerns, he was accepted. He swore an oath to protect the public, and almost immediately he began doing the opposite. It was late summer when Marcus met Lydia. She was 20, bright, social, and out with friends at a local bar. Marcus introduced himself casually, mentioning his job. The uniform wasn't visible, but the authority lingered in his tone. He invited her to what he described as a small gathering at his flat. "You're safe with me," he told her. "I'm a police officer." There was no gathering. When Lydia stepped inside, the flat was silent, empty, confusing. The door closed behind her. What followed would haunt her for years. Marcus restrained her, using overwhelming force. When she resisted, he pressed what appeared to be a firearm against her head. Lydia believed she was going to die. Terror locked her body into stillness. He assaulted her repeatedly, violently, hair torn from her scalp, bruises blooming across her skin, blood where there should have been none. When it was over, he let her leave. At the hospital, staff documented extensive injuries, but when Lydia explained who her attacker was, the response changed. She was told, quietly, that pursuing justice against a police officer would be difficult, unlikely painful. She was advised to move on, and she tried. Months later, another woman, Erin, entered Marcus's orbit. She wasn't a civilian. She was a fellow officer. Their encounter began consensually, but consent ended where Marcus decided it should. Erin objected. Marcus ignored her. The violation left her shattered, not just as a woman, but as a professional who had spent her career encouraging victims to speak up. She didn't report him. The shame was unbearable. And Marcus learned something crucial. Silence protected him. By the time internal training taught Marcus how to identify domestic abuse, he was already an expert in committing it. Over the next several years, he moved between relationships, leaving behind emotional wreckage. One partner, Hannah, believed she had found stability. Instead, she found control, fear, and escalating violence. When she finally tried to leave, Marcus destroyed her work uniforms with a knife, a message without words. "I can still ruin you." Friends noticed his drinking, his temper, his habit of flashing his badge to dominate strangers. But nothing stopped him. Marcus Hale had perfected the disguise. Officer, protector, authority. Behind closed doors, he was something else entirely. And this was only the beginning. By the late 2000s, Marcus Hale was no longer just another officer on patrol. He had climbed. Transferred into a specialist protection unit, Marcus now carried a firearm as part of his daily duties. His job placed him near government buildings, embassies, and political figures. To the outside world, this was a symbol of trust at the highest level. To Marcus, it was something else entirely. A confirmation of power, a license to intimidate, a shield against consequence. And with that shield firmly in place, his behavior escalated. Marcus met Clara through a shared interest, a martial arts class. On the surface, he was charming and attentive. After training sessions, drinks followed. Conversations deepened. He played the role of protector, confidant, and gentleman. One evening, Clara agreed to go back to his place. She expected intimacy. She expected choice. Instead, she was met with sudden aggression. Marcus's demeanor changed the moment the door closed. He overpowered her, pinning her to the bed, ignoring her confusion and fear. When his body failed him, his rage intensified. The rejection, even physical, was unacceptable to him. Afterward, he didn't apologize. He harassed her. In public, in messages, in passing encounters. Clara considered reporting him. Then she remembered the badge, the gun, the system. She stayed silent. Another woman, Dana, met Marcus in the same environment. Training mats, shared laughter, mutual acquaintances. One night after Dana had been drinking and became emotionally overwhelmed, Marcus offered comfort, a shoulder to cry on. Instead of getting her home safely, he took her to his flat. Dana made her boundaries clear. She wasn't interested. She wasn't consenting. Marcus ignored every word. What followed was invasive, degrading, and calculated. He treated her distress as irrelevant, something to push past rather than acknowledge. Dana left feeling violated and furious with herself for trusting him. She never reported him. Years passed, and Marcus returned to familiar ground. A school reunion. Among old classmates was Naomi, now married, now settled. She viewed Marcus as a harmless figure from her past. When accommodation plans became complicated after drinks, she agreed to share a room with him and another woman. There was no suspicion, no fear. Why would there be? Marcus was a police officer. That night, Naomi woke to his hands on her body. She froze, pulled away, said no. Marcus didn't stop. When she tried to move to another bed, he dragged her back, whispering reassurances that felt more like threats. "This stays between us." The assault left Naomi stunned, not only by what happened, but by who did it. A friend, a protector, a man entrusted with public safety. Between incidents, Marcus appeared untouchable. An allegation surfaced, then disappeared. Concerns were raised, then ignored. Internally, nothing changed. Externally, his confidence grew. By the mid-2010s, Marcus reconnected with Rachel, an old acquaintance. He leveraged his position again, subtly, skillfully. She trusted him because the uniform demanded it. Their encounter began consensually. It didn't end that way. When Rachel refused to comply with something she was uncomfortable with, Marcus forced her. Her pain meant nothing to him. The aftermath left her physically injured and emotionally fractured. She told no one. Marcus didn't just assault women. He owned them, or at least believed he did. In 2016, he met Laura through an online dating app. She was vulnerable, unhappy in her marriage, searching for stability. Marcus offered exactly what she needed, or so it seemed. He convinced her to move in quickly, promised financial support, safety. Then the isolation began. He cut her off from friends, monitored her movements with cameras, controlled her food, her weight, her routines. Laura's body shrank. Her confidence disappeared. When she resisted sexually, even after medical procedures, Marcus forced himself on her anyway. Her pain was irrelevant. Her screams were background noise. Her child overheard things no child ever should. Laura escaped eventually, but the psychological damage followed her for years. By now, Marcus had perfected his methods. He chose women who were emotionally vulnerable, socially isolated, unlikely to be believed. He reassured them with the badge, threatened them with the system, silenced them with fear. And still, no one stopped him. For over a decade, Marcus Hale moved freely, armed, respected, and protected by the very institution meant to restrain him. But the violence wasn't slowing. It was intensifying, and the worst was still to come. By 2017, Marcus Hale no longer relied on chance encounters alone. He wanted ownership, not just bodies, lives. That year, he met Jenna in a crowded bar while out with colleagues. She noticed his confidence, his calm authority, the quiet way people deferred to him. He mentioned his work casually, as if it were unimportant. It wasn't. To Jenna, it meant safety. Within weeks, they were inseparable. Marcus was attentive, generous, intensely focused on her. He learned her insecurities quickly. What she feared, what she needed, what made her feel small. Then he began to use it. At first, the control was subtle. Comments about her clothing, suggestions about her friends, concerns about her judgment. Jenna was a mental health nurse, trained to recognize abuse, yet she didn't see it happening to herself. Marcus framed everything as protection. You don't need them. They don't understand you like I do. I'm the police. I know how dangerous people are. Soon, he decided what she ate, what she wore, where she went. When she resisted, his voice changed. Cold, measured, threatening. He reminded her who he was. Once, during an argument, he raised a police baton and held it just long enough for the message to land. Another time, he sent her a photo of his service firearm with a single line of text. Remember who's in charge. Marcus didn't just want obedience. He wanted fear. When Jenna disobeyed him, or even questioned him, he punished her. Sometimes it was verbal humiliation. Other times it was isolation. But the most terrifying punishment came from the cupboard. A small dark space beneath the stairs. Marcus would force Jenna inside, strip her dignity away, and lock the door. Panic attacks followed, gasping, crying, begging. He stood outside, listening, sometimes whistling, sometimes mocking, always enjoying it. Hours passed like this. No mercy, no remorse. The assaults became routine. Marcus used restraints, sometimes police issued, to remind her of his authority. He inflicted pain deliberately, leaving marks she hid beneath clothing and silence. On one occasion during a family holiday, he assaulted her inside a tent while her parents slept nearby. When she tried to cry out, he covered her mouth. Her father heard something was wrong, but she couldn't speak. The shame crushed her. Marcus escalated further, subjecting her to degrading acts meant to erase her sense of self entirely. He told her repeatedly that she belonged to him, that reporting him would be pointless. I am the police, he said. No one will believe you. Jenna believed him. Even while controlling Jenna, Marcus was hunting. In mid-2018, he met Willa through a dating app. She was a cleaner, hired initially for work. Marcus told her he had checked her background through police systems, a lie that made her trust him. One afternoon while she worked, he attacked her. She escaped shaken, confused, and terrified. Around the same time, he met Paula. Paula was vulnerable, struggling with anxiety, depression, and a learning difficulty. Marcus sensed it immediately. At first, he was gentle, encouraging, funny. Then the cruelty surfaced. He degraded her verbally, used alcohol to lower her resistance, treated her as an object rather than a person. Paula endured repeated assaults, each one stripping away more of her autonomy. Marcus framed the abuse as something she owed him. She was desperate to please him. He knew it. By now, Marcus had left a trail of devastation across nearly 2 decades, yet he remained in uniform, still armed, still trusted, still unchallenged. Jenna, however, was breaking. The abuse destroyed her ability to work. Panic ruled her days. Sleep brought nightmares. She began secretly keeping evidence, messages, objects, reminders, clinging to the hope that one day it might matter. When she finally escaped, she didn't feel free. She felt hunted. Marcus Hale believed himself untouchable. But the silence was thinning. The fear was cracking. And the women he had tried to erase were beginning to speak, quietly at first. Soon, the truth would surface. And when it did, it would expose more than one monster. By 2019, Marcus Hale's control was slipping. Not because he had changed, but because the damage he left behind was becoming impossible to bury. Years of fear had trained his victims to stay silent. But silence has a breaking point, and Marcus, blinded by his sense of invincibility, pushed too far. Marcus's next relationship began the same way they all did. Charm first, reassurance second, authority always. He met Elena online. She was new to the country, unsure of her footing, wary of institutions. Marcus made himself indispensable. He spoke of protection, of safety, of stability, and then, almost immediately, the abuse began. Elena's immigration status became a weapon. Marcus reminded her constantly that he could make problems disappear, or create them. When she resisted him, he became violent. When she cried out in pain, he mocked her. He dismissed her suffering as exaggeration. He ignored her pleas to stop. He treated her body as something he owned. Like the others before her, Elena believed reporting him would destroy her life. But she survived, and she escaped. In the summer of 2020, a woman whose identity was protected made a report that authorities could no longer ignore. Details were specific, patterns were undeniable, and for the first time, Marcus Hale was no longer insulated by disbelief. When investigators looked closer, something unexpected happened. Other women came forward, quietly at first, then together. Each story echoed the last. Different names, different years, same methods. The badge, the threats, the violence. What had once seemed isolated now formed a chilling pattern stretching back nearly 20 years. On an autumn morning in 2021, officers arrived at Marcus Hale's home. Body cameras recorded the moment. Marcus appeared calm, almost irritated. He questioned procedures, asked what was necessary, tried to control the situation as he always had. But this time, the authority in the room didn't belong to him. He was arrested. For the first time in his adult life, Marcus Hale was powerless. As the investigation widened, the scale of the abuse became undeniable. 12 women formally stepped forward, 12 lives altered by the same man. And investigators believed there were more, many more, who would never speak, still trapped by shame or fear. Charges mounted. Each count reflected not just violence, but betrayal. Abuse carried out by someone trusted to protect. Marcus pleaded not guilty. He claimed a troubled childhood. He denied responsibility. He showed no remorse. Psychiatric evaluations concluded he was not mentally ill. His actions were deliberate, calculated, cruel. When he attempted to harm himself while awaiting trial, professionals determined it was not remorse, but self-pity. As hearings progressed, attention turned outward. How had this happened? How had allegation after allegation been ignored? How had warnings been dismissed? How had a man with this history remained armed and active for so long? The answers were uncomfortable. Oversight failures, cultural silence, a system that protected its own. Public trust in policing fractured. The man who once hid behind a uniform now faced a courtroom, filled with voices he tried to silence. Justice was approaching, but for the women who lived through him, justice would never erase what was taken. The courtroom was silent as Marcus Hale stood before the judge. Gone was the confidence, gone was the badge, gone was the illusion of control. But what remained was something colder, a man who still refused to take responsibility. Over months of hearings, the prosecution laid out a timeline that spanned nearly 2 decades. From his earliest days in uniform to the moment of his arrest, Marcus Hale had exploited the same tools again and again. Authority to intimidate, uniform to gain trust, fear to silence. Each victim testified behind screens or through recorded statements. Some spoke with shaking voices, others with quiet resolve. Many described how Marcus had permanently altered their ability to trust, not just men, but institutions meant to protect them. They spoke of years of shame, destroyed confidence, broken relationships, chronic anxiety and trauma. Several explained how they blamed themselves for not reporting sooner, a belief reinforced by Marcus's constant reminders that he was untouchable. "I am the police," he had told them. "You belong to me." Marcus attempted to reframe himself as a victim. He spoke of his childhood. He claimed emotional instability. He suggested misunderstandings. The court was unconvinced. Psychiatric experts concluded that Marcus was fully aware of his actions. His behavior was not impulsive or disordered. It was patterned, deliberate, and sadistic. His earlier attempt to harm himself while in custody was deemed an act of self-pity, not remorse. Throughout the proceedings, Marcus showed little emotion. No apology, no acknowledgement, no regret. The prosecution sought the harshest possible sentence. The judge reviewed comparable cases, offenders whose crimes were deemed among the most severe in modern legal history. After careful deliberation, the ruling was delivered. Marcus Hale was convicted of dozens of offenses, resulting in multiple life sentences, with a minimum term exceeding 3 decades before any possibility of release. In effect, he would spend the majority, if not all, of his natural life behind bars. As the sentence was read, some victims cried. Others felt nothing at all. Justice, they knew, could never undo what had been done. After the trial, victim impact statements revealed the true toll of Marcus's actions. Many struggled to work. Some lost families and careers. Others lived with constant fear and hypervigilance. Several described an enduring sense of betrayal, not only by Marcus, but by the system that enabled him. They had trusted the badge. The badge failed them. The case sent shockwaves through the country. Public confidence in law enforcement was shaken. Reviews were launched. New vetting standards were proposed. Questions were asked that could no longer be ignored. How many warning signs had been missed? How many victims had been dismissed? How many predators hid behind authority? Marcus Hale was not just an individual failure. He was a systemic one. This case stands as a grim reminder. Evil does not always hide in darkness. Sometimes it wears a uniform. Sometimes it carries a badge. And sometimes it is protected for far too long. For the women who survived Marcus Hale, survival itself became an act of defiance. By speaking out, they ensured he could never harm another person again. That is their legacy, not his.